So recently, we covered a story about the governor of Nebraska and how he basically said, I'm going to ignore the law. So the state legislature repealed the death penalty in that state, and he vetoed it, and then they overrode his veto, and he said, I don't care that you overrode it, I'm going to execute people regardless. So this is a textbook example of authoritarianism. And it's deeply disturbing because it's a trend among Republicans, specifically Republican governors. Well, today we have a news story that's very similar coming out of Kansas. So we've already covered this guy, Sam Brownback, the governor of Kansas, quite a bit because he basically wrecked the Kansas economy. He ballooned the deficit up, even though he says he's a fiscal conservative. He cut taxes for the rich and increased taxes on the poor and the middle class, while at the same time gutting education, gutting all kinds of social spending. And today we learn this, quote, on Thursday, Kansas Governor Sam Brownback signed a bill that threatens the entire state's judiciary with destruction if it rules against a law he favors. Brownback has spent much of his tenure attempting to curb the state Supreme Court and consolidate power in the executive branch. Thursday's startling maneuver suggests the deeply conservative governor has no compunction about simply obliterating separation of powers when another branch of government gets in his way. So let me give you some more background on this so you understand exactly how this came about. Not too long ago, the Kansas Supreme Court said, no, you have to fund the schools more because you underfunded them so much that it's unconstitutional, that you're not giving the kids a decent enough education, to meet constitutional standards, which is like a bare minimum of just do a decent job. They're like, no, you screwed it up so much and you cut funding so much that we're going to make you increase spending towards education. So Brownback's response to that was, oh, really? That's what you're going to do? Well, here's what I'm going to do. First, he tried to stack the court to be more conservative. Then, since that doesn't get him all of the desired results that he wants, he doesn't win every case that gets in front of the state Supreme Court. He's like, here's what I'll do. I'll just defund you. I will just try to stop you from existing. I will try to take away all of your power. Okay, if this isn't un-American, I don't know what is un-American. Because one of the core principles, one of the founding principles of the United States of America at a federal level, but it's obviously incorporated at a state level too, is separation of powers, checks and balances. You have the legislative branch, you have the executive branch, you have the judicial branch, and, they kind of check each other's power to make sure that we don't become too authoritarian and too tyrannical and too fascist in the way that we function. Well, again, another example, just like from Nebraska. This guy's like, okay, I know what the law is, I know what the proper process is, and I so don't give a fuck, I give less than 0 fucks, that what I'm going to do is I will just defund you if you disagree with me. I don't think people truly understand just how radical this is. I really don't think people understand it. Because the only things that we've seen comparable throughout history are the furthest right-wing movements imaginable. Authoritarian third world banana republics acting in similar ways. And now it's happening here, and it's happening at the state level, and they're so brazen about it that they think, that they're like, if you bring up to them just how wrong it is, they will tell you, I just don't care. I don't care. They're so drunk on their power. And that's what's so scary about ultra-right-wing beliefs in general, is that, part and parcel with those beliefs, hand in hand with those beliefs, is an idea that the process is irrelevant. I don't believe in the process. I don't think it's the right way to go. I would rather have all of the power myself to do whatever the fuck I want. And then notice, whenever these guys are out of power, what do? They flip completely. All of a sudden, when they're out of power, they're like, we believe in democracy because we're in the minority party. We don't think that no executive authority is okay. Look at how the Republicans today scream about Obama when he acts within the confines of the law and the process and the system. He passes Obamacare in a perfectly legitimate way. abiding by the law, abiding by the proper process. And they're like, oh, this is tyrannical. What the fuck are you talking about? It's tyrannical. What do you mean? What do you mean? So, I mean, they're hypocrites and they're dangerous. And, you know, it's people like this, honestly, that the Founding Fathers feared the most. That's why they set up the system with checks and balances. That's why they have the Constitution. The idea was we do not want somebody like Sam Brownback to get power. They didn't want somebody like Dick Cheney to get power, and they put these rules in place to prevent those guys, if they get power, from going overboard with it. But now we're at the point where these guys say, yeah, I know what the rules are, and I'm just not going to listen to them.